Anybody buying an RC10 B2 Sport, the first recommendation I would say would be to bull race the car. The car is very good in a standard setup anyway, so there's nothing they need to get it racing anyway. The difference between top drivers and club racers, I believe, is mainly experience. Knowing what to do in certain situations on the track, and especially being able not to crash. That's what makes people good, under pressure. There's lots of people that I think are very good, especially on their day. There's probably 10 people that I could name that could easily win a world championship. So there isn't really anybody, I believe, is better than anybody else. There'd be two pieces of advice that I would say to a beginner. One is, don't take racing too seriously, enjoy it as much as you can. And the other one is, read Radio Race Car.
Yeah, there have been some highs and lows. It's quite an expensive business to get into. A great deal of finance is needed for the sort of tooling and investment that you need to get a car off the ground. The racing side is, of course, very important to the commercial side, so there is an overlap between those two subjects. The racing highs have very much been when Brian Kinwald won at the Winter Nationals, and subsequently that was important commercially because at that very time we were trying to break into the American market. So that was a good day from both sides of the coin. In the future we hope to develop the range of test technology and to spread our wings so that we become more and more well known right across the world.
To be competitive at the highest levels of RC car racing requires a car that is superbly engineered and built. We took our cameras to the headquarters of Schumacher Racing to see just how much work goes into designing and manufacturing a modern RC racing car.
Well, my son Robin had an interest in all toys and things at the time. I was working at Cosworth and rather busy, and he wanted a model car, and I saw in the local model shop a little electric racing car. And I thought, this is ideal. It doesn't give me a major commitment, and it gives the lad what he wants. So I bought him this little electric racing car, and he was happy with that, and I didn't have to spend a huge amount of time on it. Robin was racing his electric car on the local school playground and wearing out the front tyres furiously, and it clearly needed a differential in this car, so I set about making a simple differential to go in it and save myself the cost of all these tyres he was wanting. And then of course his chums all wanted one of these differentials, and we were going racing at the time, and a demand rapidly grew around that product. Our first premises were in fact my home. I'm fortunate in having a pleasant house with a bit of room around it, and we got awfully busy, and the sheer number of cars in the drive was sometimes difficult to justify. And word went around the village that we had lots of coffee mornings. We are very much a team operation, and I'm glad you asked that question, because it gives me the chance to tell you about the good guys in this company. We've got Tim Walden, who's our marketing and advertising supremo, and various other administrative functions. He's well known in the model car business. He's a member of the RRCi, and he's around at race meetings most weekends. Then we've got Vic Ababurko. He's chief engineer. Vic's a very sound, highly experienced mechanical engineer, and rules the engineering department fairly firmly, imposing standards on quality control and the level of development that we go into to make sure we've got the good product. Then we've got Phil Booth. Phil Booth really needs no introduction from me because he's extremely well known around the circuits. He is the face of Schumacher when it comes to racing. He is a world champion in his own right, which not many people know about, and he will be the last person to tell you. But Phil is a super bloke, extremely experienced and vital to our organisation.
My name's Chris Parsons. I designed the body shells here. These are carved out of wood. We designed them to follow the British touring car race series. This is a Peugeot 406. They're designed in plan elevation, side elevation, and we mill out a rough shape on a Bridgeport downstairs, and then the rest is done by hand with chisels and sandpaper and needle files until you get to this stage. I did industrial design course at Coventry Polytechnic, which is now Manchester University, or Coventry University, as transport design. And I wanted to get into the full-size car industry, couldn't, ended up doing model cars. So it's the next best thing.
I'm Kevin Irons, I'm the production controller, and basically I'm in charge of making sure it all comes together at the end of the day and the quality control of all the cars that we make here. So we start off at the very beginning with the chassis that we make here, they're CNC, and then we get various sub-assemblies made up. We either do them in the factory here or get other people to make them out of the factory. And we send them up first, get the wishbones on the front transmission housing. Gearbox then goes on with the steering, and that's all checked. So it looks like that then. Then the rest of the transmission and the shock absorbers get put on with the bulkheads and the track rods. Track rods are set to length on these gauges here to make sure that the towing's correct, so that when you get out of the box you should be able to run it. So they go on there, and the wheels go on, and we end up with a rolling chassis like that. Every car has got a serial number onto the chassis, and with every car it's then got its quality control document that goes with it. And the car gets inspected at 6 different stages. Every stage there's a set of QC sheets of parts that must be checked. After they've been finally inspected, then we get onto the packing. The boxes, the body shells, instruction manuals and sticker sheets.
Well, I make an analogy here. People still play with model railway engines, and when did they come out? So I reckon model cars will be around as long as real cars are around, and nothing can be more natural than for young people to want to play and enjoy using miniature versions of a thing like a car, which is such a dominant part of all of our lives. So I think as long as we reflect full-size use of cars, there'll be an ongoing, endless future for model cars. Radio race car is critical to the health of model car racing. The spreading of the word around, exposing the model car activity to people that haven't come across it, is an essential part of our business. One of our problems is that you tend to be a close-knit community that talk to each other, with the danger of not bringing in new people. And that's where the media, the specialised media like Radio Race Car, perform a vital service. The one single tip to improve anyone's racing is to look hard at the way you drive. We all tend to think, oh, it's the car, or it's the motor, or it's the tyres, but really, I perhaps shouldn't say this as a manufacturer selling product, but really, the one single thing that will improve your driving more than anything else is the way you drive. Watch the other guys. Learn how to prepare your car impeccably. Look at the lines and improve yourself as a driver and a car preparation person.
Traditionally, would-be RC car racers have started out with an electric-powered model. In the last few years, however, more and more beginners are choosing a fuel-powered car as their first model. With longer run times than the average electric car and the added excitement of the noise and power of a real internal combustion engine, fuel-powered cars certainly have their advantages. Here's Tom Hill with Radio Race Cars' top 10 tips